Hi, I'm Jo from J.H.Leather, and in this video I'm going to be showing you how to create your own Airtag keychain. Let's get started. So the designs used in this video are going to be available as a PDF pattern pack, an acrylic template set, and as a DIY leathercraft kit. And all can be viewed and purchased via my website jhleather.co.uk or head to the links in the description. So starting with design 1, and our leather for this one is 1.5mm thick, and there will be a link in the description for the leather that I have used. So what we're going to do is start by drawing around our patterns. Now with this egg-shaped one, the outer sides are exactly the same. So we're going to draw around that twice, and then on the one we're also going to add in the 2 stitching holes as well as the circle on the front for where the front of our tag will stick out. On both of them, you will need to mark the oblong at the top because we will punch this all the way through. Now, once you've drawn around your patterns, what I like to do is actually rough cut them so that my leather is more easy to manage. And then we can cut these out more accurately. So I'm going to be using my single head knife for this. I'm slowly going to nibble my way around the egg shape. Now what you'll find is that if you're using a knife like this, you'll get to a point where the leather behind the knife is a bit too much to handle, and you can just cut that off before continuing around the rest of this case. Now, if you find it easier using a craft knife or a scalpel, that is absolutely fine to use, and the leather thickness for this will be fine for that as well. Once we've got the outer shapes cut out, what we're going to do is punch the holes. So I'm going to be using an oblong hole for the top, and mine is an old style crew, which is a number 35. We're going to punch that through the top of both of them. For the circle on the front, what we're going to do is get a corresponding circle punch and punch that all the way through. Now we've got them cut out, we can get an edge tool and edge all around the nice grain side. And you can also go around the circle hole on the front of your case if you want to. Now the edge tool I'm using is a very small one at 0.6mm. Once we've got those cut out, what we can do is cut the strap that's going to hold our case onto our ring. So what I'm going to do is cut a strip of that corresponds to the size of the pattern. And then what I can do is then cut that down to size. And once you've got that cut out, you can then edge around the whole of the nice grain side of that as well. And the next thing I'm going to do is apply some edge finish. So this is dyed through leather, so I'm going to apply my burnishing gum directly to the leather and then polish that up. I'm going to do this on all 3 pieces as well as around the circle cutout that's going to be on the front of our case. Once we've done that, we can then heat up a creaser and go around our pieces. Now this is an optional step, and if you don't want to add a crease line, that is absolutely fine. So you should have your pieces looking like this, and what we're going to do is with our pattern mark on the flesh side where the stitching is going to be, and we can use this as our guide for when we're going to glue. So we want to apply a little bit of glue to the edges around both of our pieces. And then once the glue has gone tacky, we can fit both parts together. We can now set our dividers to the stitch line guide on our pattern and draw that between the two dots on the front of our case. And now, because this is a circle shape, a 2-tooth pricking iron is ideal for this. And so what we're going to do is now follow that stitch line all the way around. And for me, the pricking iron that I am using is 3.38 millimeters. And it's likely that yours is going to go all the way through just because of how thin the leather is. And you don't have to use a pricking iron, you can use diamond irons as well. Once stitch marked, what we're going to do is grab our thread and attach 2 needles to it so we can saddle stitch our little case all the way around. Now for this I start with 2 back stitches because I'm going to finish with 1.5, and this way both ends are going to look the same. When doing your back stitches, you want to make sure that your stitches line side by side rather than one on top of the other. And you can use your needle just to guide that stitch in so they sit where you want them to. Once you've done your stitching, we can start to do some finishing touches. So what I'm going to do is sand the edges on my case just so they are nice and even. And we're not going to take too much off here. You can do this by hand. However, as I have this machine, it just makes things a bit easier for me. Now, because I've done that and I only use a teeny tiny edge tool, what I'm actually going to do is just go over that area again with the edge tool because it's just made that edge a bit square once more, and so I can just remove any excess here. We can now apply our edge finish, and for me that is just another layer of the burnishing gum. And we can polish that in and get a nice shiny edge. And then I'd like to go around mine once more with my creasing iron just to get that line nice and prominent. And so the fitting for this is a Chicago screw. So what I want to do is measure that, fitting the cap of it against my hole punch, and that's the size of hole I need to punch all the way through the center of this strap. So what we're going to do is put that through the slot on the top and fit on our chosen ring. And then holding that so it's all sandwiched together, we can then punch the hole all the way through. Before you attach your strap, what you can do is with a bone folder, just push that inside around your stitching to remove any excess glue. And then you can fit your Airtag in place before securing it in with that top strap and the Chicago screw. Now you don't have to use a Chicago screw fitting on this. This is just what I wanted to use for this option. You can use a Sam Browne stud and you can also use a popper. But for me, the Chicago screw was the most secure option, so I thought that would be a nice touch on this key ring. And that is design 1 finished. If you are enjoying this video and would like to learn how to create more leathercraft projects, then I have a whole range of printable PDF pattern packs and durable acrylic templates available for you to purchase via my website jhleather.co.uk, or you can head to the links in the description. Moving on to design 2, and we're going to get our leather for this. Now this one is slightly thicker at the 1.7mm mark, but that is also a fine size to use. Once we've got our chosen leather ready, we can then draw around the 2 parts of our pattern and then roughly cut them to size before cutting them out more accurately. Now this one is slightly harder to cut out because it does have an internal sort of shaped curve, which are generally harder to cut out, especially with the knife like I like to use, which is the single head knife. Now again, we're just going to take this slowly and nibble our way around the edge, and then you'll get to a point where you're going to have to use the other end of this knife in order to get around that internal curve. Now, like I said with the other one, you don't have to use a knife like this. If you find it easier using a craft knife or a scalpel, that is absolutely fine. The key thing is to just take your time and slowly make your way around your shape. Once you have both of your pieces cut out, what we can do is cut the hole in the front part of our keychain, and then we can go around both pieces on the nice grain side with our edge tool, and then apply some edge finish. And again, for me, this is a dyed through leather, so I'm just going to apply the burnishing gum. Once we've done that, we can then hot crease around each of our pieces. And now this one is having a Sam Browne fitting. So with the 2 maker's marks marked on to your backing piece, you want to choose the hole that the screw fits most snugly into, and you're going to punch that through both marks. Now on the front of this, we're going to have to punch a larger hole. Now for me, I chose to do 4.5mm for this. And then what I'm going to do is actually, with a sharpened screwdriver, I'm also going to cut a slit down from that hole. Now, I recommend doing a test first to make sure that the holes that you cut are going to be the right size for your Sam Browne stud and are not too big or too small. Once you've cut your holes, what we can do is then transfer our stitching marks onto the flesh side of both pieces, and that is going to be our glue guide. We can then glue on the flesh side on both pieces around this area. And then once the glue has gone tacky, we can stick both pieces together. Once we've done that, we can use our divider to draw in our stitch line and then follow it with our chosen stitch marker. Before double hand or saddle stitching our case together. Once again, starting with 2 back stitches and finishing with 1.5. once we've finished our stitching, we can do some finishing touches. So once again, I'm going to lightly sand the edges to make sure that they are nice and level. And then with my edge tool, where I have done my sanding, it's likely that the edge has gone quite square again here because this is a tiny edge tool. I'm just going to remove that sharpness there, and then I can carry on with my finishing touches. So I'm once again going to apply some of my edge finish, which is just burnishing gum in this instance. However, if you are going to stain, you can stain first and then apply your burnishing gum afterwards. And once that is nicely polished in, I'm once more going to go around with my creasing iron, bring out that line and make it nice and prominent. Now we've done that, we can fit our Sam Browne fitting. So we're going to fold over the tab on our back piece. And then insert our chosen split ring and the backing screw. And once in place, we can then fit the front of the Sam Browne stud. And then using a screwdriver, we're going to secure that in place. Now, before we can fit our tag into this, what we're going to do is with a bone folder, just remove any excess glue that might be there in the front of our case. And then we can fit our air tag. And that is how to make the design 2 of our Airtag keychains. So that is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed watching and you learned something new. And if you did, please give this video a thumbs up to let YouTube know and to help get this video out to more crafters. So thank you very much for watching, and I shall see you in the next video.